Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today is Sara Anjargolian, Chief of Staff to Armenia's High Commissioner of Diaspora Affairs. Sara Anjargolian is also an attorney, and she's also the co-founder of Impact Hub in Yerevan, an international organization that offers shared space to workers from different fields so that they can create networks to lead effective and innovative work. Like Zara Sinanyan, the High Commission of Diaspora Affairs, Sara is also from the diaspora, and she's been living in Armenia for 10 decades and a half. Together, we will talk about the Commission's work, their mission, and how it builds bridges between Armenians in Armenia and Armenians in the diaspora. Sara, welcome.
Thanks so much, Ani. Thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation.
So the political events of April 2018, the Velvet Revolution, changed many things, changed thinking, changed institution in Armenia. Did anything change in the diaspora?
Well, I was obviously living here during the Velvet Revolution. I wasn't in the diaspora. However, I think it changed everything. I think it changed everything here. It changed everything in the diaspora, especially as it relates to how we think about Armenia. All of a sudden, if I could characterize it as a mass exhale in the country and in the diaspora, that we finally have another opportunity to build the country that we all believe that we can build. So I think it was an incredible opening of a door of an not just hope, but opportunity, potential, a new way of thinking about Armenia and obviously Armenia diaspora relations.
This is a very politically charged time in Armenia now, between the new government and its supporters and those who used to be in power. Does the diaspora see what is happening, and how does this affect your work?
Well, of course. I mean, those diaspora Armenians who are very tuned in to what's going on in the country, policy-wise, politically, do see what's going on in the country. Obviously, this government, our government, is, if nothing else, extremely transparent. And if you would, excuse me, like to be fully informed, you can be completely informed about what's going on. So we certainly see that vis-a-vis our diaspora media, we see that on social media, etc. So we do see that diaspora Armenians are aware of what's happening here. And certainly, I think in some ways, the interest in engaging with Armenia has in fact increased in terms of giving the feeling from Armenia towards the diaspora that it's very, very important to have the diaspora in the hard work of state building. So whether positive or negative, it's a welcomed thing to have diaspora Armenians being aware of what's happening here and being involved.
So we are living in times of coronavirus and the whole world is in lockdown. And I guess it is hard to create link and bridges between Armenians in the diaspora and Armenians in Armenia. How do you do to keep this link between the two parts?
Well, certainly the coronavirus turned everything upside down for our office, mostly because, as opposed to perhaps some of the other branches of government, our office had a very distinct plan for 2020 where there was going to be a lot of travel to diaspora communities. The plan had been that in 2020 we were going to try, together with the High Commissioner, to visit as many diaspora communities as we could. So obviously that's been put on hold. The other part of our 2020 vision was to have several different gatherings here in Armenia where we were going to be inviting different groups of diaspora Armenians to come and be present here vis-a-vis various summits and conferences. If I can just give a few examples, the plan for this year was to have a component where we were going to be inviting politicians, diaspora politicians from across the globe to come and gather here in Armenia. We were going to be having diaspora Armenians who are investors or interested in investing in the country, community leaders, and as important, we were going to be engaging student groups. We were going to be inviting groups of student leaders to also come to Armenia and be involved, have a conversation about not only building Armenia, but also strengthening the diaspora. So all of this were the plans we had for 2020. Obviously, since we cannot travel in either direction, we have now very quickly reorganized all of that online. So just about a month ago, we launched a program we're calling Sphjuռքը Կապի մեջ է, Diaspora Connected, where myself and High Commissioner Sinanyan are having the same conversations we were hoping to have physically online. So we've already spoken to several communities in Europe, in Russia. We're about to speak to communities in Lebanon, in Argentina. So actually, in a way, we're doing it much faster than we had scheduled because we're doing several of these calls per week. It doesn't ever replace physically being, feeling the communities when you physically go there, but this is the best we can do right now.
Is it fair to say that the misconceptions have changed? Armenia's misconceptions about the diaspora and the diasporas about Armenia. How do you work with this or through this or around this?
Well, look, I think the absolute number one goal of our office is to act as a bridge between Armenia diaspora. But what does that really mean practically? It means that we curate conversations. We initiate conversations between Armenian diaspora in such a way where misconceptions and incorrect information in both directions, the chance of that is decreased. So that's what we're working on, and that's our main goal. Sort of to that end, to serve that goal, we have various programs. Depending on coronavirus, we'll see which ones will actually happen, which ones won't. If I can just give a few examples. Our flagship program that our office has launched, which really is the first time in the history of the Republic of Armenia, is called Igorts. We are inviting diaspora Armenians from around the world to come work inside of the Armenian government. We launched this program a few months ago, maybe it's been 3 months now, and we received over 800 applications from 27 different countries of young people, and not necessarily just young people, all ages of people interested in moving to Armenia and working inside of Armenia's government, not just in our office, but in every single department in the country, from education to healthcare and social welfare, etc. So now we have the very difficult task of going through those 800 applications and choosing people to come. Originally, I'm happy to announce that originally we were only going to be able to fund, because the Armenian government is fully funding this, both the airfare of the people coming here and the monthly salary that they would be receiving by working for 1 year inside of Armenia's government. Originally, we were going to do 20 people, but happily we've decided that due to the fact that we're not going to be able to do other programs this year, we're going to be able to change around our budget and increase that number. So this is, I think, one of the best ways to decrease misconception, break those barriers, break those walls, is to have people start working together on common topics. So, for example, healthcare, public health people in the diaspora and public health people here, right? They speak the same language. They think the same way. So the more that we can have Armenians in Armenia and Armenian diasporans working towards the same goal in terms of their professional skill set, the more we're going to be able to break down those misconceptions and those the lack of information. So this is just one example of how we're trying to build bridges and break down walls.
Your job, your office, the position of High Commissioner is new. How is it different from the Ministry of Diaspora?
Sure. So structurally, the answer is twofold: structurally, as well as it relates to subject matter, what we're working on. Structurally, originally it was a ministry. Now we are in the office of the Prime Minister. So myself, the High Commissioner, as well as our team are all considered to be as part of the Prime Minister's office. So in a sense, the diaspora can feel that in a way the office has been elevated since our team is now considered as part of the Prime Minister, and the High Commissioner speaks on behalf of the Prime Minister when he speaks to the diaspora. So that's structurally. Content-wise, many of the programs that were originally done by the Ministry of Diaspora have now been transferred to other ministries. For example, in the past, Ministry of Diaspora used to ship educational materials and books to various diaspora communities. Now that's being handled by the Ministry of Education and Culture, Sport and Youth. Similarly, cultural programs. There used to be programs where we used to do different kinds of cultural exchanges. That is also being handled by the Ministry of Education, Culture, etc., and so on and so forth. So some of these programmatic components have been transferred to other ministries, but of course, a lot of those programs are still being worked on by our team because there's a lot of relationships that were created in diaspora communities, during the Ministry of Diaspora, and we're trying very hard not to, create a pause between those relationships, despite the fact that those programs have been transferred to other ministries.
So Armenians in the diaspora are spread throughout the world. There are Armenians in each country, in all continents, in every continent. There is for each a way of thinking, a way of living. There are different cultures that have a strong influence on Armenians living in the diaspora. Plus, Armenians in the diaspora are different depending on whether they left Armenia or they are grandchildren of genocide survivors. How do you deal with this diversity?
It's interesting. As I listen to you describe that, I still get, a sort of excitement because the potential we have in our Armenian diaspora is it's unbelievable. It's incredible, and it's perhaps one of the biggest untapped resources of this country in terms of that diversity. I think I can also speak on behalf of the High Commissioner. We both feel very comfortable with diversity. We both come from quite diverse backgrounds, not only as Armenians. I'm half Eastern Armenian, half Western Armenian. I speak both Eastern and Western Armenian. The High Commissioner speaks not only Armenian English, as well as Russian. We both grew up in very diverse part of the world, which was Southern California, where everyone every type of ethnic background is in a melting pot. So diversity for both of us is quite a normal part of our lives and very welcomed. One thing I will say is that we are working towards having a more diverse group of people in our team. When we started this work, our team was basically people who were from the Ministry of Diaspora, and the only diaspora Armenians in our team was myself, the High Commissioner, and one other person. So it's very, very important that we have diaspora Armenians from various backgrounds, from all those communities that you mentioned, on our team. We should absolutely have someone who's Lebanese Armenian on our team, Argentinian Armenian, French Armenian, and so we're working towards that. Of course, it takes time. Our civil service requirements and the way you hire people in the government is slow and rigid. And so what we're doing our best to be able to attract those kinds of people and have them join our team. And that's where we will be, hopefully this time next year, a very diverse team of people who will feel very comfortable, even more comfortable than we do, because they will be from those communities.
Thank you, Sara, for this talk.
Thank you, Ani. Thank you to CivilNet for the opportunity, and I'm really happy that we got to connect with each other, despite the distance between us now.
Thank you for watching, and continue to follow CivilNet.